Brenda, thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Brenda, you had reached out to me a few weeks ago. There's been some changes. Why don't you tell me about it?
Um, I reached out to you a few weeks ago. I don't know. This January was just awful.
Hard.
Really hard.
Yep.
And I always find myself as Miss Positive and everything's okay and I don't worry and I don't stress. But I couldn't shift it.
Yeah.
I couldn't shift I'm going to say feeling of lost.
Yeah.
I felt lost.
Yeah.
And very, I just couldn't see direction. I didn't feel content. I didn't know what to do. And I got really emotional.
Yeah.
And I actually felt like I'd lost all my strength. And
Yeah.
it was so not like me.
Yeah. I feel like you sometimes will find it hard to let yourself go there because you
Yeah.
always have that front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's being a single mum and being a woman and trying to fend for yourself. And there's that inner warrior
Yeah.
and for me, there's a real stubbornness of I need to do this by myself.
Of course, I'm independent. Yep.
And then when everything's removed from you, I was made redundant
Yeah.
from my job in December.
Yeah.
A big shock before
Yeah.
Christmas. So I just enjoyed Christmas and I didn't bother. And then January, just I didn't know how I wanted to get an income, and there was no income coming in.
Yeah.
So the fear and the worry and the overwhelm started
Yeah.
to hit, and all of my usual, it's going to be all right. It wasn't working.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't working.
Yeah.
And at that stage, I had to go back to my original teachings and my original learnings
Yeah.
of you've got to surrender to the battle within.
Yeah.
And the battle got me. I got into days of fear and worry, and I was crying.
Yeah.
And then you put up the face, and you don't want to tell the family, you don't
Yeah.
want to tell your children,
Yeah.
and you don't want to tell your partner.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I told you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I have to admit, I'm 52.
Yeah.
So the menopause then I thought had kicked right in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I thought of these feelings, the menopause and emotions and the
Yeah.
estrogen drop, and is it not me, and is it it, and I don't want to go to the doctor, and will I go to the doctor?
Yeah.
So eventually then I reached out to you, and you said what I would have thought, which is just go for your seeds and your berries and whatever. And then
Yeah.
I also phoned the doctor. So I thought
Good.
I just need to keep myself right
And
because
did you go on the HRT?
no,
Are you
not
going
yet.
to?
No, you
You're
have to
gonna
get
love
bloods and all.
You'll love it.
Well, I love
Oh,
it.
for fuck's sake. I am telling you. Eating, sleeping, like it's brain power. I feel like whenever it's not old, it's gold, but you're always used to like mining that gold. It's like loving and mining that gold, having kids, being a mummy, all those things. And you get older sometimes and it's like, not that you're slowing down, but you're actually speeding up. So you need more power really than what you
Yeah,
normally do. And that's really it. And that's where it like just, it's like a different person. That's what it
yeah.
is.
So the doctor gave me a great website to look
Yeah.
into, and I'm going to get because they test your bloods and all
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So again, this is another new area of womanhood
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
And my daughter was saying to me earlier, her and I walk every Saturday, and it's just one of my most
Yeah.
special times every
Yeah.
week. Because and she says, you start as a young girl and the periods are all
Yes.
new, and
Oh
you've
my God.
tantrums and mood swings.
Yeah.
And then you go into, and you're developing and hormones change. Then
Your
you've
life's not your own.
I
But it's getting to
always
be free of that, and that's what really menopause, I really believe, is when you become a goddess. It's like you can define a rose by its thorns, or you can define it by its petals, and really it's a seed. And I think it's the flowering part of the woman, and that's all translated wrong because there's no guidebook to it, and it can be very hard. I suppose it's very hard even for you to be selfish. Do you know what I mean? Where you need to learn to be a wee bit more.
yeah, really hard to be selfish. And it's funny, it's something that I have really been good at
Yeah,
since I've been taught by my guides
yeah,
and healers. If I'm not right, I can't give to others.
yeah,
And if I'm not, my
yeah,
cup isn't full, and I know that, and I'm really good at it.
yeah,
But when the hormones take over,
yeah,
it's hard to put that as
yeah.
priority.
I spoke about during the week there about having an emotional reaction to football. It was out in this garden where I was growing up, and my daddy and my sister went away to football matches and all. It was all inclusive. They got to do whatever they wanted. I wasn't really into it, so my wee bit older self popped the ball like a balloon, but it was an emotional reaction. And I have a lot of them. I've had two this morning over things that don't matter, but I've learned now just to accept it
Yeah.
rather
Yeah.
than like,
Isn't that lovely?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because before I would have been like having all these feelings that I couldn't control, and it was toxic then. But now I know it's all right to cry, it's all right to let it out. Brenda really wanted to talk. We did this I went to Brenda and we got this meditation done. It was, I remember going down and getting it done, and I had things go happening the next week that I was nervous about. And we did this guided meditation. Now you were speaking to me in a different language. What is that?
So I speak light language.
Yeah,
Now, one of my spiritual guides years ago who coached me
yeah,
in my journey, and she used to speak light language.
yeah,
And I didn't know what it was, but I used to go in and I used to thought it was part of her training or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
But anyway, long story short, 5 years ago, I was in Italy and I was there for a month.
yeah,
And I was, on a week of that month, I was on my own.
yeah,
And it was a journey for me to go deeper.
yeah,
And during that week, it was just brilliant. I was on my own
yeah,
in Italy and I just meditated. I swam, I walked, I ate, I read books, I did meditations,
yeah,
and it was for me to go as deep as I could.
yeah,
And you need that solitary confinement.
definitely.
And at the end of that week, I one night I was just sitting and I could feel this bubbling, and this light language just started coming
Yeah,
from my mouth. And I knew what it was
yeah,
and I couldn't stop it. And I thought I was going insane. And I phoned my guide and I said, "Why have I got this now?"
yeah,
And so she said it's a gift from the spirits
yeah,
and it's a gift from um, those that's passed, and it can be used as a way of healing those that
yeah,
you're presented in front of.
yeah,
So I started to research it and study it, and I was afraid of my life to use it
yeah,
because in case anybody thought I was insane.
yeah,
Um, and then on my spiritual journey, a bit
yeah,
like you, if you don't stand up and you don't stand out, you you're wasting the gift that you've
yeah,
been
yeah,
given.
mm-hmm,
Weird and wonderful as it may seem. So then I just asked Spirit, who I would ask to guide me,
yeah,
how do I use this and when do you want me to use
yeah,
it? And I researched it more and more. So I only decided to use it on those that I thought were at a stage in their own spiritual development where
yeah,
they needed a lift
yeah,
or an input of strength and courage from their guides.
yeah, yeah,
So I believed then that those who were called to my one-to-one coaching,
yeah,
I would know who to gift this language to.
yeah, yeah,
And I would connect with them through spirit. So it was their spirit guide
yeah,
speaking through me.
yeah,
So that when you came to see me and you
yeah,
were at a loss and a stuck
yeah,
and in a moment, the minute I connected you with light
yeah,
language, you were part
yeah.
right fully
Oh,
back up
it
with
was
spirit.
truly incredible. I can remember sitting there, and we could hear the bells and things, and it's a busy city centre, and I could feel the Eskimos around me, and I could hear them talking and everything. And then I heard this great big bell, and I could feel it leave from my feet right upward. I could feel it leaving my body, and I heard the sirens outside, and I heard the sirens whizzing away off down the street. And whatever it was left with those left with it flew out and flew with the consciousness. When I got home, Queen Elizabeth had died. And I was like,
Wow.
whoa. And that week I'd found my great granny's grave, my great granny Granda, and I thought to myself, well, my granny talks about this place and it is beautiful, I get it. But I thought we were going to be burying my granny. I thought it was, but then boom. And after that, it was so weird, but I couldn't believe it. I
Yeah.
could not believe it.
So they say it's a language of higher
Yeah,
consciousness. And those who receive the language then that you speak to,
yeah,
it lifts all of your levels of
yeah, yeah,
consciousness. So, and that's again, I feel it's come to me through, I've been on this journey a long time, but when my sister passed,
yeah,
I stepped into a higher level of
yeah,
consciousness and I knew I had to heal
yeah,
and I had to use the gift. But healing for me is educating. It's
yeah,
speaking to people. It's
yeah,
podcasts.
yeah,
It doesn't need to be woo woo or
yeah, yeah,
healing can be a hug or a kind
yeah,
word.
exactly,
But
exactly.
I think now after lockdown, the whole consciousness of the planet has
It
shifted,
has.
and people want to live a spiritual way of
They
life.
do.
They want to live with love.
Yeah,
They want, they want to know how to forgive, how to heal trauma. They want to heal that ancestral chain
Yeah.
of trauma, and they want to change. They know what they need to
Because this
do.
is it too. Like growing up where we grew up too, it wasn't that long ago women weren't allowed out of the kitchen. Like my nanny has told me, like they wanted it to be more equal, and so it's hard. It really, really is
Yeah,
hard because we weren't given that by your elders, where you weren't told, "Oh, go out and do this." So you've got to really create who you are
yeah.
for the generation that's next. And I feel like your sister too. She was on different paths that way. She didn't know she could change who she was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And it's funny, I now know it woke me up to life. I always say the day she passed is the day I woke,
yeah,
because I woke up and went, what am I here for? What is this life about?
yeah,
So now it's my job to inspire and instill in others the message. We've one life.
yeah,
It's up to you to live
yeah,
it, but you have to love yourself,
yeah,
not in a materialistic way,
yeah,
in a way where you love all of your idiosyncrasies, all of
yeah,
your vulnerabilities, all of your quirks,
yeah.
all of your little weird bits
Flaws.
and
Yeah,
flaws.
yeah,
And you've got to stop trying to fit into the box of society.
yeah,
And you've got to stand up and love yourself and get out and share your gifts with the world.
yes,
And we're all unique. We're not meant to fit into society's box of this is what to do and this is
yeah,
how to do it. And when everybody finds their heart center
yeah,
and their love language,
yeah,
you don't care. You just show up.
yeah,
You just
yeah.
show up. That's
And you know
joy.
what I've realised too lately, and I don't know why it's coming to me lately, but everything in this world is hard. Everything that's meant for you is hard. And
Yes.
things that aren't hard, you need to let them go now.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are struggling with that. Well, they like something but they don't love it anymore. And I think at work people can go, well, should I have what I love? Yes, you should.
You should. You should.
Yeah,
And but what we love, I think we're always looking for the bigger things.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you've got to remember, love could be getting up today and having time to do my hair,
yeah,
getting up and having food, having heat.
yeah,
It's the simple. We've got to keep it simple.
yeah, yeah,
Keep life simple, and the
yeah,
big things will come.
yeah,
But have gratitude every day for all the little
yes,
tiny things that you do,
yes,
and keep it in the day.
yeah.
And just, but honestly, we complicate life too
We do,
much.
don't we?
Hmm.
We really, really do. Brenda, tell me about some of these retreats. Now, I'm very excited because I've seen a lot going on. And a lot of people, I've heard that word retreat a lot. I think it might have been over in England. I don't even know, but everybody's mentioning retreat now.
Retreats now are a big thing,
They
and
are.
again, a big thing. And I think people want happiness.
Yeah,
People are out to find joy.
yeah,
People
yeah,
want real joy.
yeah,
But retreats are time of reflection.
yeah,
So, and they all come in different ways. So you've retreats where you've a section of yoga, which is going into the
yeah,
body and exercise.
yeah,
There's spas. There's time of shamanic healing with
yeah,
drumming, with binary beats to take you on a journey of deep meditation, where you
yeah,
go back, you go into your journey, so you
yeah,
can bring up the journey that you've been on and not be afraid of it.
yeah,
You've got to go into what got you here, to be proud of the journey and let
yeah,
go of the trauma and the
yeah,
bad. And it can be times of going in and finding yourself. And I know it's a bit, but finding out who you are.
yeah,
And retreats are a time of discovery.
yeah,
So it's a bit like I took you on a meditation and I took you
yes,
on a journey.
yeah,
So retreats can be a journey of discovery, finding out who you are, letting go of what doesn't serve you,
yeah,
and bringing forward what you want to create what I call the better future
yeah,
self.
yeah,
So they, to me, are a brilliant way of fast tracking your way
yeah,
through loads of classes,
yes,
because
yes,
it's 3 hours, it's 6 hours, or
yeah,
it's 24 hours of time for you.
yeah. Brenda, your daughter's very psychic, by the way. Brenda's daughter's here. She came up. She's very, very psychic, but she's afraid to listen to it. She knows things in her belly, but she's just absolutely terrified. I can feel you even reading me now as I'm sitting here, and you really are. You very, very naturally too, very, very naturally. You just know things and it happens. You just completely know it. Don't be afraid of it. It will take for you to be maybe a wee bit older for you to go, I know my gut now, but I swear it's so raw with her. It's so raw and real. She's a mummy sometimes, isn't she?
She's the mummy.
Yeah,
From
yeah,
she was 2,
yeah,
she would look at people
yeah,
and she would never say a word, and she would stare right through them.
yeah,
And within seconds, she would judge. And
yeah.
if she didn't like you, she'd
She would
walk
know right
away.
away. Hmm.
And one of the qualities I love about her, she doesn't conform.
Yeah.
She does her own thing.
Yeah.
And she can read a person and
Know their energy.
Know their energy.
Yeah.
She's really intuitive.
Yeah.
And she doesn't believe the bullshit.
Yeah.
She just does not, you could not
She doesn't
charm
even
her.
know she's psychic, but she doesn't believe she's psychic in a sense, but she is. She really, really is. Other people are not like that. I'm sorry, they're not, but you are, and you don't believe it. You think it's just normal, but it's really the way you are. And the more you learn to speak it, the more it's going to come out like. Definitely.
Yeah.
And not so much spirits, but more so like stuff, more so like, I know what you're going to do next. That sort of energy.
You're really good at reading people, and you're really good at she's powerful as a person.
Yeah.
I love all those qualities she has. And she won't be peer pressured or led into the group, or she won't take on any other's opinion. And if she doesn't like it, she'll tell you. My, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
But I think she's more intuitive than she knows.
Yes, I think you are too, definitely. And I think it annoys you because you know sometimes when things are going to happen a certain way and you try to help and you try to change it and people don't listen, and then you're going, I told you so. A lot. That happens with you a lot, actually. She sees a lot what you're doing, but what's in you, Brenda's already innate in her. See what you've worked hard for, it's built into her. And that's the way it goes as a spiral. Like what your granny put into you, what your granny achieved is built into you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it flows really that way. I know too with you as well, you're going to be very settled soon. You are. I know you can't. You're very you like to be in control and it's fine because you know what you want, but there's disappointment there, but it's not always going to be that way.
Okay.
And there's definitely going to be a baby soon as well. I know that's really, really strongly, like, because I feel like it's not going to, and I would tell you, she's a girl. I know what she's going to be like. I can see her and everything. She's very, very, like, very, very elegant, very, very polite. I can smell, which is like she's got that real baby smell. You'll feel her pattern around your bed. You'll definitely will. You'll know. It's almost like sometimes you'll have having these conversations with her, even though she's not even here yet. Like, almost not even arguing, but like, why does this have to happen? And like, she explains it why. It's kind of like that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Maybe.
A wee bit.
No.
Just a wee bit. But no, it's hard being a girl, I'm telling you, because nobody gives you the instructions. Nobody sort of tells you it's okay to say this. And for the most part, you're afraid of the goddess on the inside of you scolding you for saying the wrong thing. It really is. You pussyfoot around yourself. And I think that's what's really about. The goddess wants you to have more experiences and wants you to believe in yourself, and certainly wants you to speak more so than ever in this lifetime. Wants you to speak. Wants women to speak, honestly. Because for a long time, it was really that part there weren't allowed to speak unless it was to their children. And that's why I would say mothers feed through the mouth, because what it's speaking, that's what real feeding is. It is. It's the language. It is. It's what really feeds language.
And if people only knew, I didn't realize, and we don't know this. I would love to do, I'm going to say, parenting classes.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't realize until now.
Yeah.
The effect my parenting had on my children.
Yes.
So I'm not saying I would change a thing, because I don't. But I would now what I know.
Yeah.
The fact that we pass on inherently our behaviours, our everything we do. And I see in my children 50% of me and 50% of my husband, their dad.
Yeah.
I see that in them. And it's fascinating.
Yeah.
You just pick it up.
Yeah.
And that's with the connection to the senses.
Yeah.
See, hear, feel. So they are seers of, and they just copy.
Yeah.
And they just do. And even I remember going into a parent-teacher meeting and coming out and saying to my husband, that was 50% of me and 50% of you.
Yeah.
Complete, and we laughed.
Yeah.
And they just described us as her as a 5-year-old,
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But those generations. But I love now about this generation that they're not afraid to talk.
Yes. There's a lot more.
They will speak up.
As were years ago,
they
you
will
weren't allowed.
People
didn't talk about emotions years ago.
No.
It was like, I don't know, it was almost like the harshness, because of whatever reason, stop people from being emotional, kind of.
Yeah. And even in my times of distress and in my blips and mistakes in my life, I'm kind of glad my children saw that.
Yeah.
Because it made them see that life isn't all butterflies and fairy tales.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that there's harshness under the beauty.
Yeah.
And there's, an iceberg under the, the settled water.
Yeah.
And that
Everything's surface level in this life.
Not at
There's
all
depth.
is as it seems, that as we present to the world.
Yeah, no, it really isn't. It isn't. And I think too, what is another thing as well, really, really important, is see social media is not communication, it's signaling. What you're really doing is you're signaling what your status is, what you're creating your status is, and we live in the world of signals and status. So it's not communication at all. Don't be comparing what you're seeing to the Facebook next to you, or what, because honest to God, it's actually, people are putting out what they want you to perceive their status as, not actually as it is.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it can become really hard now to figure out what's real. And I think I'm glad I am the age I am. I'm not.
With the social media generation, the fakeness and the reality and the comparison.
Yeah, and signaling,
is just, you need to be very grounded and keep yourself very grounded to navigate that.
Yeah. So I think it forces them really to speak more. It actually forces them to speak their own truth, because you can't emulate really on Facebook. You can't actually be, there isn't an emoji, or there isn't a word, or there isn't a picture you can upload to express yourself. So I think it really, and the entanglement to that is actually what's forcing people to be more real.
Yeah. And I think that's why podcasts are massive now.
Yes.
Because we're talking.
Yeah.
And, this morning, actually, before I came out, I was watching a podcast, and it was, this is menopause brain. What do you call the big, tall footballer, lanky footballer and his wife? Oh, big, tall footballer. Not Steven Gerrard. Really tall. Anyway.
Really?
See, menopause brain, I've forgotten. Blonde hair. Abby Clancy and, do you know who I'm talking about? Right. But I was just listening to their podcast this morning, and it's just man and wife.
Yeah.
And, they're talking about their marriage, just what they do in a day.
Yeah.
And it got massive views, and I was listening to it, but I thought, that's just a normal people's relationship. And I think we watch it because of social media is so false.
Yep.
They talk about arguing about choosing cushions and who's doing the dishes, and normal, because we've forgotten what it's like to be normal.
Yeah, exactly. And podcasts have actually been around for 20 years, but it's only now that they're starting to really explode. Brenda, you're going to be doing a new podcast soon. Tell me about it.
So I'm doing a podcast, and it's going to be called This Is Life.
Yes.
Because I'm going to do exactly that. Everybody I will be interviewed, it's about the real life story.
Yes.
So it's about the story behind the person on Instagram.
Yes.
So, and it's about battles that people have had and they've overcome.
Yeah.
So a lot of maybe performers and actors and singers in London who've had mental health problems, but they're on the West End stage and no one would have known. To show people that everybody has a vulnerability. And that everybody has a story. This is life. It's real life. Brilliant. So check it out.
Brenda, you've been fantastic. Where can people find you?
On Instagram and Facebook, Brenda Shankey.
Perfect, Brenda. You've been a great guest.
Thank
I hope you'll get me on your podcast.
I will indeed.
I'll definitely be getting you on this podcast. Glenskiff will be back again in October. But I'm starting a new podcast soon, but I'll get you on there as well.
Brilliant. Thank you, Glenn.
Brenda, give me a big hug.
Love you.
Brilliant.